right, so welcome to Chop It Up, the podcast that we do every Tuesday, or at least the Tuesdays that we can, and then we're all on the same page. Where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and anything else we want to talk about, because it's barbershop style conversation. My name is Kevin, host of the podcast, and I'm gonna let the fellas introduce themselves.
Tari Watkins, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I love meeting with the fellas and talking. And hey, we want to talk with y'all too. So if you're here, you want to chime in, let's make it happen. Message doesn't matter. We're looking forward to it. Darian, you brother.
Darian Lewis, Tulsa, Oklahoma, up the street from Tori, around the corner from Kevin.
Right.
Happy to be here.
Right.
Around a few corners.
Around a few corners.
Around a couple of corners.
Very happy to be here.
A couple of left turns.
Hey. All right. So first of all, we still have no indictment yet of the former president. We'll see if that even ever happens.
We've talked about this. We talked about this for a minute now. And if I'm not mistaken, we all kind of doubted the indictments may even come, but him seeing a day in court, much less jail time. Yeah, yes. I don't see them making that happen with a former president. Now, there's a whole lot of other layers to that as to why it really wouldn't touch Trump, but just even the symbolization of a former president of the United States, we're just not going to see him in hand. It's just not going to happen. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. The disrespectful repercussions. No, it is not. No, it is not. We think this stuff is doable because of the level of entertainment that we've had. Presidential. When I say entertainment, I mean literally entertainment. All the movies and television shows, and all these behind the scenes looks at presidents, being portrayed in comedies and dramas and action movies, and the vampire slayers, and you name it. So for us,
don't knock Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
I'm just saying.
That's a cinematic masterpiece.
But the way we have painted the president internally, is one thing, but you start letting the world see us do that to a head of state, a former head of state,
an actual former head of state, right?
The level of disrespect toward America, I just can't see that happening. Right. Just can't see
even more so than what it already is.
Right.
If that happens,
oh yeah, it's no holds barred at that point.
Yeah.
So, I seriously doubt if we'll see.
This is how democracy works. That you had this Yahoo get in the office. No, we're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And at that point, any agenda that we have is no longer subtle. It has to come across as imperialism.
Right.
That's a whole other conversation.
And everything
else. That's a whole show by itself.
Yes.
That may be an A and B conversation.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Because we've talked before about how this really is not a democracy. It's our entire setup. We want to call it a democracy, but it's not. It was never that way. So, and then we could talk about how, how voting was originally not even intended for everybody.
Right.
But they don't have that.
Which can't make it technically. You automatically eliminate. Which there's nothing in our official documents that ever said democracy, democratic republic. But never said
Democratic Republican. Yes, exactly.
and yet that word does get thrown around in strategic places and in strategic times.
Yes, it does.
To make us feel like somehow this is something it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
All right. The other thing
wouldn't live anywhere else. Sorry.
True, but passport is ready.
Yes.
Always keep it ready. You got to always.
Which I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I was reading an article couple of days ago, actually, because one, we also, Tarsha and I went to go get TSA pre-check because we're like, look, I'm tired of taking off shoes and taking off belts, getting undressed just to get on a plane.
It's a glorious thing.
Yeah.
I did it right before we flew out to North Carolina. $68. It's 5 years. It's the best $68 I've ever spent.
Oh, it's cheaper then. Because
Yeah,
it started over 100.
Yeah, I just did it. I literally just did it before our flight.
Yeah, they made it cheaper.
So yeah,
let me tell you what that tells me. They tired.
Now, depending on the airport and depending on the time of day, the line is still long. Like when we left Raleigh Durham, and our flight left at, I don't remember, 5 o'clock or something like that. That TSA pre-check line was long. Now, it wasn't longer than the regular check.
Right.
And it was probably a little bit quicker.
Right.
But it was so long.
Now you got TSA pre-check and you got a couple of other services that have popped up now, and I'm like,
you got clear.
Like, how is this working? Who came up with this and how did they get clearance?
What's clear?
So clear is similar to TSA pre-check. You still have to go through the normal line. So there's TSA pre-check, which is government sponsored, government funded, right?
Right.
Clear is a separate entity that has essentially a contract that they basically kind of do a pre-check of you getting in before you actually have to go through the entire process. So it's kind of like a hybrid. It's like not as fast as TSA pre-check, but not as slow.
Not as slow as your regular process. Yeah. So someone came up with a for-profit idea and it worked.
And it worked.
They got the
That's what I'm saying. It's like you tie money to anything, folks say, oh, we're gonna get a cut. We can make it work.
But with that said, there was an article that said that the State Department is processing a record number of passports recently. Like I heard on, I think it said over 500,000 are in process right now.
See, that makes me want to go ahead and renew mine like right now. Mine doesn't expire until like October of next year. And they say you're supposed to don't wait. They say you're not supposed to wait until the year that it expires because it may take too long. But yeah, that makes.
I gotta go check mine. I don't remember how much more time I have. I think I have till next year.
I got about a year and a half.
To do it. Yeah.
Because they also that was tied also with a story that basically said that there's a lot of Americans that are paying for dual citizenship in other countries just in case they need to make a move real quick.
Just in case something pops off.
Just in case.
And there's a lot of countries that are allowing that dual citizenship. Absolutely. Come on. And make sure you bring that American money with you. Real talk.
You ain't wrong. You're not wrong. I'm like, Canada, here I come.
So if everyone, Jay says, if everyone gets pre-check, will it be as slow as the regular TSA line? I still don't think it will be because I ain't got to get undressed and get dressed. Right.
It won't, even though that one was long in Raleigh Durham, it was still faster than the regular one.
Yeah.
Because you're not taking shoes off. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that they're just not
taking your backpack, your laptop out, all that stuff.
Yeah, you don't take your laptop out. My iPad was still in my bag. I don't take it out. Electronics, none of that stuff. I don't.
Now, where was the last place I flew? Was it Vegas? Lord, it's been a minute. When I tell you they're getting tired, because them cats with us like, you got any electronics in your bag? Yeah, he said, yeah, just leave it, man.
Bro, I've done that job.
Yeah, just leave it, man.
So I know what they go through. I've done that job right after 9/11 because I was trying to work for Midway Airlines. It was after I was teaching, and I was like, well, I can work full time for Midway, and so boom, 9/11 happened, and then that shut down Midway. Midway never reopened again.
Oh wow!
No.
And so it was a regional airport, and regional airline. It was like up and down the East Coast. So those days after 9/11, they shut them down. They didn't open back up. But that's when they started beefing up airport security. It was before it was TSA. Huntley was the big one. So I did that, became supervisor, manager, and all that stuff. That junk ain't easy.
I did it too.
Wanding people.
Oh man.
Checking.
And then back then, yeah, well, you did after 9/11. I did it pre 9/11.
Oh.
This is when everyone had attitudes. They can cuss you out.
Everyone had attitudes, and 90% of them were African.
Right.
Am I wrong?
No, you are not. You are not.
That's what it was in Raleigh.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying. I mean, no offense at all, but that's just the way it was. And
yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
9/11 happened, and they were like, "We cleaning house. We starting all over," and that's how I got on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a brutal.
It's not an easy job, especially 5 o'clock in the morning.
Man,
people ain't happy. People pissed. They're trying to catch their flights. It's not my fault you're late. You got to get checked.
Right. You're the one that came in 20 minutes before your flight leaves.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
And it really helped when you had a service member, National Guard, right beside you with an M16. So that made it a whole lot easier back then when I did it. So I just went.
Well,
and I looked at the person, and they're like, I'm like, all right, perfect. You think I'm joking? Seriously.
But here's the thing also is that now, especially now, you have you can get added to the no-fly list.
Yes.
Right? So before, if I popped off at Southwest, I couldn't fly with them that day, but I could go right down to the next airplane.
Airline. Yeah.
Now it's like, nah, you subject to arrest, and
everybody's
put on the list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now back then, people were still kind of playing around with like shouting like, yeah, I got a bomb. Yeah, what are they gonna do? Yeah, bomb. And we had a guy come through that was doing that, playing around, and he was with a group, and they were like, man, shut up, that's not funny. It's not. He was like, it's Tulsa. What are they gonna do? I kid you not.
He found out.
3 suits came out of this no door-looking door. They scooped him up, grabbed his bag, come with us, and took him back there. He missed his flight, and they told his group, you may want to go ahead and get on your plane. Go ahead and take your flight. All right.
Well, one of the DeBarge brothers found that out too.
What
was it? I don't think it was Chico. It was like one of the lesser known brothers, like Robert or Ricky or something like that. It was one of the lesser known brothers was joking around about bomb and was snatched off a plane.
Why is that a joke anywhere, pre or post 9/11? That's
because people don't think
a joke.
People don't think that there's anything that's going to happen because they don't see the warning. They don't, it's like if I don't see the cop, why not speed? And not realizing, he's behind something you literally can't see him on. And then but if you see him, okay, now I won't talk about it. But I'm telling you, that was funny to me.
It was a joke, man.
Yeah.
Ashley's high school, because they probably heard their parents say something. They texted a group of kids threatening President Obama. Black SUVs everywhere.
and to the NSA that may be watching, we are talking about something that happened.
Things happened in the past.
This is not us.
No, not us. And Ashley was like, Dad, I said, they'll never do that again. They said, no, they will never do. I said, you can't do. People don't understand that phone calls are monitored. I get it. If you're on a phone, you're on the grid. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter. Oh, I turned off my location services. Okay.
Right. That's just for your nosy girlfriend or boyfriend. That's the only. That's the only people that affects.
That doesn't include the federal government.
No, in any stretch of the imagination.
Nah, right. Even kids said, I work, for the feds, right? I'm a federal. I said, yeah. She says, my phone calls may be recorded. I'm okay with that. I've got nothing to hide except for my hate of chocolate ice cream. That's it. There's nothing else
which has gotten you booted off.
Keep going. All right. I'm even now like, keep going.
Listen, the lobbyists for chocolate ice cream are like paying
They're coming at me.
Now.
They're coming for me. Trust me. If I ever run for office, that whole
Man,
line, I'm
listen.
done.
I promise you, somebody's watching going, he's never going to learn. He's never going to learn.
That's not American. That's not American.
He's just
How
never
you
going to
not-
learn.
Mm-mm.
Get him.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Too funny.
So yeah. So listen, with everything going on, if you need to make an exit, figure out a country or two. I got a couple of countries that are on my list, y'all. I've mentioned them already. Get a couple of countries on your list. Get you a go bag if you need to.
Listen, Ghana is gaining so much popularity and pub. Like it is, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or we are just discovering, hey, this really is like a spot you need to take into consideration.
Right.
But yeah, the Ghana is like getting some serious attention as an alternative to
Yes.
Why is that?
They're committed. Number one, they're committed to infrastructure. They're committed to it.
Yeah.
They're committed to providing and actually trying to woo the brain trust around the world, if you will, to
Right.
help build a modern society that truly can compete more or less with the rest of the world.
Right.
And so I think they want to be the foremost modern society on the African continent. Now they've got a ways to go. They got to catch up with South Africa. They got to catch up with, but they also have an opportunity to surpass them because of where they are and where their commitment
What
is.
they're doing, right?
Right.
And how they're doing it. Yes.
Right. They're not bogged down by an already, aged infrastructure that they now have to retool.
Right.
They can start with the future in mind. So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, that's one of the ones on the list. Yep.
That's what's up.
All right. But speaking of folks getting in trouble and getting fussed out, there's a video, and I'll play it here in a moment just so that everybody's on the same page. You probably have seen this on the internet, on TikTok, on Instagram, all of those. A pastor rebuked. Yes, Jay, the real Wakanda. Yeah.
The real one, absolutely.
But a pastor rebuked. I think it was maybe more of a bishop rebuked a pastor.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Because he was that dude that he rebuked was the pastor of that church.
Yeah.
And he was his spiritual father. That's what he's.
No, that's what I thought at first. That's what I thought at first.
Oh, okay.
But if you hear the context of it,
it
sounds as if he was the guy who was doing the rebuking was the senior leader, and the person that was there may have been a pastor within his organization.
Right, a leader.
It was not a pastor of a church, because he told him, "Well, listen,
you want building."
Let's.
Okay. So I took it a different way. Okay, because I remember I can give you keys now, whatever, and
yeah. Okay. All right. So here we go.
If you're not careful, you're gonna blow it. If you're not careful, you're going to blow it. If you're not careful, you're gonna 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 blow it. Get in place. Get in position.
Let me just say, if he's not careful, he's gonna blow it. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Thanks for clarifying, sir.
I just want to make sure you got that.
This is about being a servant.
bag of popcorn.
Your spirit has to change. I told you months ago that this next season was going to be the hardest season of your life, and you fumbled the ball 3 times. And I told you specifically what this season was, and if you're not careful, you're going to blow it. I don't care who prophesied to you. I'm your pastor. I don't care who tell you X, Y, and Z. I know you by the Spirit. I know your shortcomings. I know what you don't do in this church. I know what you do in this church. Nobody outside this church knows, and you can tell them I said it. You can tell any pastor. You can tell your cousin. You can tell anybody. I'm your pastor. And I don't care what they tell you. If you don't get yourself together and do what you're supposed to do in this house, everything that God has promised over your life is subject to be aborted. Get yourself together. Get in place before you blow it. Not just for you, but for your family.
Read the room, drummer.
Get yourself together, Bree. Pick up the vacuum. Clean the bathroom. You're not above the work. If I did it, you got to do it. Get yourself together. Titles without service are empty pieces of paper. They have no value because it's service which gives the title to push. Do you hear me, son? Get yourself together. You operating in the wrong spirit. I don't like it. You're operating in the wrong spirit. I don't like it. That you're in is not from God. God don't operate like that. Get yourself together and be Bree. Come here. Lift your hands. You have no reason to be angry, to be upset. Because if I gave you the keys, you would blow it. You don't even know how to turn on a system. If I gave you the keys, you ain't tried to learn nothing. If I gave you the keys to any church, you will blow it because you don't know how to do nothing. All you want to do, son, is preach. And preaching is less than 10% of pastoring. You got to learn how to do the work. And stop worrying about them. You got to do the work. Because without work, you know why a lot of pastors fail? They ain't got no service. They ain't put in no work. I can give you the money right now. You want to go out there and do it on your own? I'll give you $20,000 tomorrow. You go out there, you find you a building, you go get you a sound system, you go pay your rent, and after you do that, you have nothing. And I guarantee you in 6 months, you're going to come right back up here broken. And I'll give you what I started. I'll give you what nobody gave me when I started. And I'm telling you to your face, you're going to fail because you ain't put in enough work. And I don't care who prophesied to you. Without work, prophecy is null and void. And if anybody in this church is contrary to what I'm saying to him, you get the hell up out of here because you of the devil. If you want to contest what I'm telling to my son, let this be your last time coming in this church. You're gonna let people mess you up. And I'm telling you to your face, this right here is my last time with you. You understand? The next time it won't be no, I'm thinking about leaving, I'm gonna give you papers. I'm gonna give you papers. I'm telling you to your face in front of everybody. And had nobody came and told me nothing. I'm telling you what God is saying. The next time you don't have to worry about even thinking about it. Because when you show up, I'm gonna say, here are your papers right now. And I'm gonna stand you up before the people, and I'm gonna say, today is Bree's last day. And we're gonna bless you, and you can go out there, you can try to do this without help, and you're gonna fail. You're gonna look like a fool because you have no foundation, no support. You make the decision what you want to do. With me, I'm good. But what would be a travesty would be to spend 10 years in a church and don't get nothing out of it. And if you're not listening to the voice of your spiritual father, you're not getting nothing out of it. Be careful of the voices that plant seeds in your ear that will get you out the will of God for your life. Are you listening to me? Am I right? Yeah, I know I am.
All right. So first of all,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The drummer.
Oh God.
Now, here's the thing. All of us have either played, set atmospheres, know how to create an atmosphere for a
Yes.
prophetic word,
Yes.
for warfare, whatever the thing may require, right? Whatever the situation may require. But Drummer Man was just like, I'm going to be oblivious to everything else that's going on. I'm just going to
Completely oblivious.
He was not oblivious. He was not. He or she was not oblivious. If you'll notice where they placed those accents,
Oh, it was
True.
right at. I mean,
that was somebody that had inside information. Every time the pastor says, "Yep, that's it right now. Get him."
that
Get
was
him.
him. That was him exhorting. That's it, Pastor.
That's
On the drum.
that's it. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's the
Because
word.
it was at those times.
Dude, he accented. I'm telling you, he didn't just
He did.
throw stuff. He accented what the pastor was saying.
So
Yep.
he had the manuscript at the drums,
Bro.
so he knew what.
And I'm like, what? To me, it's like all of this. Here's the other thing that told me. That tells me that they're used to him doing that.
Oh yeah, because they were spot on. He was spot on.
Mhm.
They're used to. Listen, that is an out of the ordinary exchange from most church settings. I don't
Yes.
care if everybody's at the altar. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You go into a person like that. Yeah, and you may have an organist keep playing just to keep the mood light or whatever. But the way they were going, they were used to that. That's not uncommon. That's what that screamed to me.
You could be right.
Yeah, and so I'm like, sir, you need to reel that back in.
Stay off the toms.
I'm not even talking about the drummer. I'm talking about the pastor. If your musicians know how to support what you're doing in that manner, that means that this is what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's common.
Yeah, it's common.
For them.
That level of exchange should never be common.
No. And it should never be public like that.
No.
And unless, well, we don't know. We don't know
him
the
for
levels.
sin. He wasn't rebuking him for sin.
Right.
No.
Right.
Because
So
there's
this wasn't-
protocol.
Yes, there is.
Because the thing we would want to point to is if you find fault with your brother, first go to them alone, then take a couple with you, and then bring them before
The church.
Right? The church. But even at that, I think that it was a little much because you're, to put it in our context right now, right? He's sunning him publicly.
Right.
Yes.
So now from here on out, any authority that you want to try to bestow upon him
He's not going
is
to have
now
it.
crushed.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Because of what happened. Because of what happened publicly.
Right. And right, we don't know exactly what
That's
he was
true.
doing.
Yeah.
But there are the things that what it sounds like is that he was kind of like, man, I really wish I could do this. I really wish I could do that. I wish I could preach. I wish I could do, he was mic hungry, if you will. And it was you still got to serve.
Right.
Right. Which let's just be honest. That's
legit.
That's something that's a
Oh,
legit
no, yeah.
statement. That's legit.
It is.
legit.
It
It's
is.
but there's a way to do that in a way that you teach the entire body. And then afterwards, I didn't want to call you out, but I was preaching to you. I dealt with the entire body to let them know this is not something to pursue just because you want to grab
Right.
a microphone.
Right.
And the other thing is that video was edited.
Yes.
We
yeah.
caught what
Yeah,
they
it was
wanted us
edited.
to see.
Yeah,
We
it
don't
was
know
edited.
how.
Yeah.
We don't know if he wrapped that up in such a way
Right.
that actually brought restoration and empowerment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Even
We
the
don't
middle-
know.
Even the middle was edited. I mean,
Right.
you could
We
tell
don't. We
where-
just don't
Right.
know how that whole thing went down. But somebody decided, ooh, this is juicy. This is juicy enough to make the internet. And he wasn't being rebuked for. He just wasn't being wasn't being rebuked for sin. He may have been being rebuked for being lazy and prideful.
Right.
You
The
know,
gist of it. Yeah.
yeah, but not not anything that would warrant now. And then he talked about, this is my last time. Listen, this is just me. Don't call me spiritual son and your last time.
Right.
Now you can have your last time. You can wash your hands of me. But don't ever claim me as spiritual lineage, because I would never do that to my child.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, there's some things that we're not going to do this anymore. I'm never going to say to my child,
Ever.
we're done. You know,
Right.
I just can't see me getting there. I mean, I know parents who've done it, but I just can't see.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't see. Huh? How do you do that? Now, I can't fathom that. So to me, when you start claiming I'm your spiritual daddy, oh, so I've got your DNA, but you have this ability to decide at some point I'm no longer dealing with you,
And wash your hands of me. Yeah.
Right.
I need scripture for that, sir. I need scripture for that.
Yeah.
You know, even Jesus, who rebukes Peter, get thee behind me, Satan.
Right.
Still doesn't throw him away.
Right. Right.
Told Peter to his face, you're gonna deny me 3 times.
Right.
Judas, do what you need to do and do it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you know all this stuff is coming, if anybody had the right to go, yeah, we good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Right.
good, bro.
Right.
And look to the Father like, you're gonna have to figure out another way, because you just letting me know
Right.
too much too soon.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't do that. He never did that.
Because God, I love you, but I don't know about these people.
I don't know about these
I don't know about these other yahoos.
jokers you got around me. Yeah.
Right.
So, but it never happened.
Cussing Pete over here. You got Stealing Judas over here. You got Doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas over here. You got Sensitive John over here. I mean,
Sensitive, oversensitive
John.
John. Hey,
Sensitive John.
yeah. So real talk. Real talk. He had a couple of tax collectors in that group, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So a lot of the exchange, and I will say this, 95% of churchgoers today would never survive that conversation, or would never survive that exchange.
There's a lot of them that haven't.
Most.
Yeah. Over the years. Yeah.
Most.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Now I've had that happen. I don't know if I've had that happen to me. I've had that happen to me.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me. A whole public revelation, rebuke that had nothing to do with sin, but they just didn't like the way I was, I don't know, fixing my hair. Who knows? I wore loud clothes. I can't tell you. I was in my early 20s, and I was called a sky pilot, and just, yeah, man, it was just a whole open rebuke.
Sky pilot?
Yeah, because okay. So back then, this was everybody's pretty familiar. Most people that are going to present truth churches are pretty familiar with prophets and the prophetic, at least in term now.
Mm-hmm.
They've heard it, they've seen it, what have you. May not necessarily believe in it, thinks that everybody's a quack, whatever, but they've heard it. Back then, that was brand new. It was nothing but pastors and evangelists. Matter of fact, teachers were barely even recognized around that time. Okay.
Right.
And so prophets and the prophetic were just coming into revelation for the body, still hadn't really had names for it. Well, the gift is the gift. The gift is the gift. God does not give you a gift so that you can have a title.
Right.
Just function. That's the whole point. And so at that time, I was doing what I was gifted to do, and going into, I'm reading and studying, and all the stuff that I'm interested in was all of that, the prophetic and the apostolic and all the stuff that's coming into being. Anyway, long story short, the pastor was very much a pastor teacher. He didn't believe in all of that. He wasn't cool with none of that. And so this young upstart youth minister that he has, that's doing all this stuff, being a sky pilot is what he called me. And he called me that many times over the pulpit. Yeah.
I just don't understand why the phrase sky pilot.
Because I'm I'm floating up in the air. My feet aren't on the ground. I'm just up there. Just
okay. Good grief.
Yeah, just unstable and no firm foundation. Just woohoo.
Didn't God say that we should mount up with wings? Oh, never mind.
Don't do that. don't do that. Don't do that.
I would do
But-
something petty like that.
So
That would,
anyway,
that would get rebuked.
But as you say that, what pops in my mind is, you all remember the show The Great Space Coaster?
that does sound familiar.
It was in the 80s. It was a show called the Great Space Coaster. Get
Man,
on
that sounds
on the
familiar.
Great Space Coaster. We'll explore.
Yeah, I
okay.
remember the song.
But,
yeah,
but when you say Sky Pilot, that was immediately like the thing that popped in my head, is that you were just like flying around in space on the Great Space Coaster.
the thing
Right.
that we remember, the
Right.
things that come to our mind. Yeah, hey,
And
we
the
may
most
forget the
just weirdest
Pythagorean
times.
theorem, but we're going to
Yes.
remember the theme to
The
Space Coaster.
Space Coaster.
Yeah, we may
Oh, too
forget
funny.
the 19th president of the United States, but we're going to remember a theme song now.
Man,
Okay.
too funny. So how should he have handled that?
So, based upon all of that, it probably would have been a better conversation behind closed doors with him and other pastors, elders, leaders within the body, right? So that, one, there is a witness that we've talked about this, but two, so that his authority within the church can still be
Respected.
respected, right?
I agree.
Because now everybody's gonna be like, man, you can't tell me nothing. You can't turn nothing on, and you can't turn on the soundboard, so don't come talk to me about cleaning up.
Unfortunately, that's human nature, and that would happen. That's why you don't do something like that in the open.
Right.
Very true.
Because if you expect to hand him keys to a building or in a leadership position, you've already undermined any type of, and you've already said it, but undermined any type of authority that he would hope to garner from anybody.
Yeah.
If you do that in the workplace, it's the same exact thing.
Right.
I mean, so then that person gets promoted. Oh no, dude, I remember when you got chewed out on the floor a year and a half ago. Now you're my manager. No, it's the same way in the church. It doesn't work that way.
Only way that I think that could be validated in that manner was if he was openly challenging the authority of the house and the structure. If he was openly doing these things, and it got to the level where it had to be dealt with in that manner. Darian, you and I remember,
I know exactly where you're going.
when there was a church split. There was, for lack of a better term, there was a church split, and Bishop, because I was privy to some of the behind the scenes, Bishop wrestled with whether or not he should even address it on a Sunday service,
right? Because
there was just so many things that were going on, and he was trying to protect the integrity. He was trying to protect the character, really, of the other person.
Right.
It got to a point where he had to address it and speak to it publicly. And he was like, look, let's make sure that this is recorded. In fact, anybody that wants a copy of this,
it's available for free, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And if you want to send it over to the other individual, you can do that, because I want it to be clear what I said. So in that type of instance, and in that type of environment, and because of that situation, that's when that would be justified. But from what we're hearing, and again, we're only getting part of this story as far as the clip. From what I'm hearing, it didn't sound as if it had risen to that level, as far as what I'm hearing.
Right.
Well, the other thing is, when you start talking about, what you can't do and all this stuff, man, it's like at that point, anyone who even wanted to aspire to be close to leadership, that's the other damage that more than likely happened. Because I know for me, if I was looking at that and I'm thinking, I'm feeling this call of God on my life, and I need to be mentored and tutored into, so much for that. We gonna keep this to ourselves. I'm not finna bring nothing to you, because ain't no, if I mess up, I can expect this.
Everybody's gonna know.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not finna do me like this. I don't care. Everybody shabba-ba-ba-bun. Okay. Okay.
There was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that. Folks all feeling, okay. Okay, I don't know the whole. We don't know the whole message,
we
the
don't know the
whole
context,
ministry. Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
we don't
have.
know. Yeah,
We just have that what they chose to put in there,
that
and
snippet, yes,
yeah, and you know, the drummer making sure it was as dramatic as possible.
And
I
hey,
promise you.
there was build up too. Hey, there
That's
was
what I'm
build
saying.
up.
Yeah.
No, I'd have choked him out. I'm sorry. I'd have grabbed them sticks. If you don't sit down somewhere, stop that. All that extra.
You walking back there just chucking the sticks. Go sit down.
Oh, right, go sit down somewhere. All this extra drama.
And here's the thing. It was loud. It wasn't even soft.
Man,
No.
It was loud.
He wasn't using. I don't know what it actually is, but I know there's the feathered
the
stick that
brushes.
you use to the
Yeah.
brushes. It
Oh,
wasn't
no.
the brushes. He was using them hard.
He was straight oak.
straight
Straight
sticks.
walnut over there.
Straight sticks.
100%. Yes.
Like, dude, you've been watching too many movies, man.
Or that's just the environment that they're in.
That's true.
That's how they go.
It could be.
That was very telling. What and you know, you can always tell when someone's been in the church for a really long time when they don't just listen to the words, but they watch and read the atmosphere. They watch and read the peripherals and what's coming under it and behind it or aside, you know.
Because
and
it
to me,
speaks volumes. It says a lot.
yeah.
When you look,
Yeah. And so when you've got flow like that, then that means that's been happening. And a lot of times, you know, folks, we get real. That's the other thing. Everybody was real spiritual with all of that. You know, nobody was like, oh,
hey,
from what we can see.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, y'all are used to this. This is how he gets down. Yeah, this is how he get down. You know, he comes with these hard words and you know, anytime somebody is claiming ownership, I'm your pastor. You know, I get it, but at the same time, and this may be biased, this also may be a wound that I am revealing. Just be honest. But whenever I hear a pastor say that, feeling the need to say that to someone, I don't care what they say, I'm your pastor. Okay, when you start when you start claiming ownership, bruh, what's going on in that relationship? You know, is there mutual? First of all, is there mutual respect of the both of you being grown?
Right.
Yeah.
First and foremost, is he a man to you?
Right.
Right.
You know, not a follower. You know, because people will objectify for whatever reason. We think objectification is just sexual. No, objectification is objectifying.
Yes.
You are no longer human. You are a thing to me now.
Right.
And followers are a thing.
You're a possession. You're a
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a hierarchy. There's a class. There's a ranking. Yes.
And whenever I start hearing leaders go there, it just causes me to kind of look, you know, step back and think, you know, how. Yeah, that's one thing. If y'all are having a private conversation, now listen, you know, I'm the one that covers you. I'm your spiritual covering. I am your pastor. You know, and from what I'm hearing, you're getting all these words from all these other sources, and somehow thinking that trumps our relationship. If it and that's what I'm not hearing.
No.
Number one. Number two, you're doing it in public. You know, you're having this very public outing that is just like, and no one's clutching pearls. I'm just like,
no,
y'all are used to this. Y'all are way too comfortable with that scenario, which would make sense to me. Why someone would want, like, you know what? Enough's enough. Somebody need to see him do this and put that video out there. So
yeah, because and this is even as some of you all know, I am in the process of being confirmed as an apostle.
Mhm.
And not because of that, but just something that has been coming up is that I'm in the process of kind of thinking through what my network, what my tribe, what my community would begin to look like.
Mhm.
And so for me, watching things like this, I'm like, that's not me. And I don't want to be, have that, because I think that we are so network driven right now that I think that that's kind of how people are coming into these things, is that if I'm over you, I'm over you.
Mhm.
If I'm covering you, I have the right to just embarrass you, because if we're honest, this is what he did. Also, he
Yeah.
embarrassed the man.
He did.
Right.
Now he his intention may not have been that way, but what he did do that, right? And so it also means that as leaders, we have to make sure that we don't get ourselves and allow ourselves to be on a pedestal and live on a pedestal that we don't deserve to be on and shouldn't be on.
Right.
Yes, I can have, like you said, Darren, I can have followers, but if I objectify them, that's the issue. But if I have followers and if I'm caring about your well-being from beginning to end and want to make sure that you are good, then that means that I'm going to cover you where I need to cover you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we'll never know his heart. I don't want to just be, sitting in a seat of just complete judgment over the guy.
Right.
Again, it's
Right.
snippet. We get it.
Right.
Okay. But even out of that snippet, and for a lot of leaders, the trap of leadership is that we can get into our own, how can I put it? We can become our own biggest fan
Mhm.
of our leadership. And the fact that people do what we say, and in many cases, no questions asked, because you're the man of God. And then you've got this track record of consistent favoring. So your Bible is being carried, and your water is being provided for.
Right.
You got special seating and special
Right.
parking, and
Right.
anytime you guys have a meal, you're the first in line, and all of this favoring that happens, and whatever you say goes. You can get so used to that to where you almost if you get drunk on your own leadership, then you do start talking to people like they're
Mhm.
objects.
right.
Do this, go here, do that. Why isn't this done? Why didn't you do it this way? Well, and then hide behind the idea that you are discipling.
Right.
It's
Or if you don't like it, you can leave.
right.
Right.
And
Right.
and if I'm not mistaken, he kind of said that a couple of times.
No, he didn't kinda. He did. There was no kinda. He literally said, "You can get the hell out of here." That's literally what he said.
Literally,
But not only that, he was like, "Look, if I feel in my spirit, I'll just give you your papers. You ain't got to say nothing.
You ain't
I'll give you
say
your
nothing.
papers."
If I feel that, which again, here we go with I trust I trust my connection to the Spirit of God more than I trust conversation and relationship with you.
Right.
That's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
That's very, very dangerous, because, like, bro, who's checking you, man? Who are you accountable to? Not saying that he's not. Again, not saying that he's not. But in the context of what we've seen,
Mhm.
who again, and I think this is for every believer. If you don't have somebody that you can have conversations with and say, and with consistency, this is where the Holy Spirit is dealing with me now. Then if that's never coming out of your mouth, then I begin to question your prayer life. I begin to question seriously. If the light of God, the light of the Word, the washing of the water of the Word, if that's not happening to you, where you are constantly being challenged in your own character, man, conviction is not happening on a consistent basis in your own life.
Right.
You will make me very nervous about your leadership.
Oh, There's a lot of red
Very
flags at that
nervous.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very nervous.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Darren, you said even just as far as how we the favoring, right? I think I mentioned this before. There was a church that we served at, and it was a small church. It was all of 8 people, right? And the pastors had in a couple that they admired, that they, were bringing in. But again, we're talking about a small church of 8 people, right? So if I'm serving you, one, in the building, it's not as if we have a fellowship hall. We got to move chairs around and put the tables in the sanctuary to have a meal.
Yeah.
And if the church does not have a full-on kitchen, they didn't get the little 99-cent paper plates, but they did have Chinette or some, right?
Yeah.
Don't ever serve us again on this.
Everything was brought in, right, to
Right.
be removed.
But it was don't serve us again on this. Okay. All right. As far as I'm concerned, I ain't got to serve you now. But it wasn't my.
And people, leaders, again, it's a slippery slope, demanding what they would consider excellence versus reading the room.
Right.
And excellence for one person or for one group may be different than excellence for another group.
You're exactly right.
If I go into a church with 10,000 people strong, they've got a full-on campus and everything, I'm not expecting that. But if that's what that organization considers excellence, then they did that in excellence. Now, I may be able to come and coach them and say, hey, these are some ways that you can improve, but to demand my level of excellence out of someone that may not have that revelation just yet, and tell them you come up to mine before you serve me again, that doesn't work. Sorry.
To me, you're a guest. You don't have a right to even demand.
True.
They don't have to feed you.
But Darren, from us growing up in the churches that we grew up in, there have been guests that come in with that air.
That's my point. Exactly.
So,
they do.
And we
a lot of them do.
Countless times. So it's not new.
No, it's not new. And
I'm not saying
again,
it's right, but that's what a lot of them expect.
And as I mentioned before, and they hide behind instead of it being pride and arrogance, they hide behind the idea of I'm introducing you to a new level of excellence. I'm teaching you.
Right.
All right. This is not kingdom.
I'm teaching you how to.
Well, I didn't even know, bruh. This is the best week. I'm doing you better than I do my wife. What are you talking about?
Right.
I remember the first time I traveled and I actually got like a welcome basket.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is cool. I have to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have thought any less had they not done it. I had to be introduced to it.
Right.
But the next place I go that doesn't have that, I don't need to pull the pastor aside and say, hey, listen. We need to talk, bro.
I was at
there
3 weeks ago, and you know what they did for me? I need to see that from you every time I come. No, it doesn't work that way.
Or you go one place.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I've ever led worship, I'm not expecting anything from that church. If they happen to do so, that's right. Or if there's a church that I go speak at, I'm not expecting them to. But if they do, okay, that happens. I am not going to be that person. I'm not going to show up if I don't get this much. No, that's not what I've been called to do.
No, Tori, I'm going to check you. Every place I go, I want green M&Ms in a bowl.
A massive crystal bowl.
Right. And only green M&Ms. If there's a red one in there, I'm not preaching. I'm not doing it. Right.
And I need Fuji water
at 31 degrees. If it's 32, I toss it out.
If it's 30.
So bro, you want ice.
Toss it out.
That's what you want. You want ice crystals. That's what you want in your Fuji water. Okay.
Listen,
here's a hammer and it shows a drink away. Go for it.
Whatever it takes, make that happen.
Listen.
Oh my God.
I remember there was a preacher, a minister that came in, and Bishop had set for them to go to a particular restaurant, or no, he had set for them to come and have a meal at the church because the church did have the space to do it.
Yeah,
He had set up hospitality, all of that.
Right.
He had heard about this restaurant in Tulsa and told the driver, "Take me there." It's like, but Bishop wants you, nope, take me there. So the driver's like, "Bishop, I'm just go ahead and take him there." He preached, never heard of that person again.
Oh, of course not.
No, let me just say this. I've never heard of this person again in ministry. Now they may still be doing ministry, but because of without telling too much, they played a sport and they got saved, went into ministry. But I'm not talking about like Michael Irvin or
no. I thought that pastor.
Yeah.
He looked familiar. Yeah, but I think I know the scenario that you're talking about. Unfortunately, it wasn't even just that. It was a couple of things that were
behind the scenes.
Yeah, and again, drunk on their own hype. That's just a very dangerous place to be as a leader.
A leader should never be concerned about their perception of their status for anyone else. That's not the way we're supposed to walk.
The Bible basically tells us that it's better to sit at the end of the table and be invited to the best seat in the table
than to assume.
Go there and then actually be sent back. That's why whenever Tarsha and I go into a church, if they ask us, yes, we are, but I don't advertise it. I don't come in and say, "Where's the pastor seating?" I just come in, I sit down wherever they sit me.
You're exactly
and
right.
I'm good.
Exactly.
If I get recognized, awesome. If I don't, awesome.
I get blessed. Exactly.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Is to go and support, right?
That's what it's supposed to be. If there's something for me to say, and that's what God wants me to do, then guess what? He'll let the head of that church know.
Yeah.
Whoever it is.
We had that happen one time. We went to support a pastor that we were connected with here. And I had known the host pastor. We kind of were connected on Facebook, but I didn't come in. I need to sit up front or I need to sit in the pulpit. No, we sat like near the back, and he was like, "Hey, can you?" He basically was like, "Pastor so-and-so, Pastor Kevin, is there something, a word you have for us?" Pastor Tarsha and I went up. We prophesied to them and sat down.
Exactly.
Right back to our seats, and that was it.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I visited a pastor friend in one of the cities here. It was literally, I think, the year that Amy had passed. And you talking about, dude, I was in the second row from the back. I wasn't trying to be. I mean, he and we've talked. I've spoken in his church before, but that's not what I was there for. I was there to be at his church, and we talked a little bit after I knew we were going to go to lunch and stuff like that. If he noticed I was there, I was, we're going to see if we can, break some bread. But he literally saw me, and then he said, "I need Brother Watkins to come pray for us if you could," and I did. But that's not what I was expecting. Right. That's not what I wanted. I didn't come up and say, "Sit me right here in the second row. Y'all know who I am." They don't know who I am. A couple of them may have, but outside of that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, or are you leaning into the usher's ear? Yeah, I'm Pastor.
Right.
I'm Pastor Tory Watkins.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Just I'm here to visit. Your pastor and I are very close, and I've had now when when I've been, I wasn't necessarily an usher.
That happens.
Yeah, but I'll be standing in the back of of a church that I'm serving at, and it looks like whatever, and so I've had them lean in like that. Yeah, hi, how you doing? I'm evangelist XYZ, and I'm just passing through town, and this your church, right? Yeah, your pastor and I, we have a kind of really good relationship. Are there any seats available toward the front for leaders or anything? Yeah, yes, sir. Hold on, we'll get you. We'll get you where you want to be. And so of course he walks up trying to look humble. They always bend over, and so he had to wave. sit down.
Sit
It's
down.
all. Man, that draws more attention than you
It
just standing up
does.
and having a seat.
Well, honest, hey, not speaking for everybody, but that's what they want at that point in time.
Right.
Well, yeah.
You're acting like you don't want to draw attention, but it's technically, which is okay. And this is a whole nother thing. I'm going to ask here. Some people may get upset with me. What is this? If you need to get up and walk out, get up and walk out. This only draws attention to you. I still have, should I stop there? Am I going to get cut off there?
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's Baptist tradition. It's Baptist tradition.
It ain't just Baptist.
Hold on. It's Kojic tradition.
Okay.
I don't remember if Methodists use that or not.
I know my AME church did.
Okay, so more than likely it's a black church, old traditional black church thing.
I've only seen it in black church.
Yeah. Now what I was told was this is supposed to be, don't pay attention to me, keep your focus on.
Oh God.
But this is telling you to pay attention to me.
Just thinking like that got me choking.
That's what this is doing. I don't need a reminder. Just go.
Now, if you'll notice, they never just hold the finger up. But you also gotta look down
and lean,
right.
And then there's a bob to it.
Right.
Like,
right.
What?
First of all, don't run into somebody on the way out.
Oh my goodness.
I've got too much potential energy to be looking down and bobbing. No, I can't. I'm not falling because it ain't going to be in the spirit. So, no. Sorry, that was a side tangent. Had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. It's still done to this day. Still done to this day.
I saw it. It's still done to this day.
Yeah. That's, to me, that's like the what's that story? The mother that cuts off the end of the ham and puts it into plate.
I thought there was a reason for it.
I mean, why do we do that? You know what? My mother did that. I gotta ask her. Goes to grandma's house. She cuts the end off to the ham. Yeah.
Yep.
Mama, why do we do that? You know what? I watched my mom do that. Let me go ask her. Was she still around? Great grandma. Oh, baby, because the pan was too short.
Right.
And we do things without even. That's what my mama did it. That's what I'm doing. The pan is this big and the ham is this big, and we still cutting it off.
Because that's what you're supposed to do. So that's what's going on there. That's what we're supposed. That's what you're supposed to do, Tori. Quit being disrespectful.
Okay. Okay.
And on that note, we do have to wrap it up. We have reached our time, so if you'll excuse us while we go ahead and close out, chop it up for today. And we will see you all next Tuesday. Have a great one. Be blessed.
May the Lord watch.